Okay, so I'm going to talk you through the answers and where the marks are awarded for your end of topic test, and then I'll sort of want you to try and rag yourself as much as you can as you go through the questions. Okay, if we start with question 1 then, so that was our basic index laws. So you get your first mark for either working out that 8 to the power of 1 is just itself, so 8, or 8 to the power of 0, okay, because anything to the power of 0 is just 1. So a mark for either of them, add the two things together and you get 9 as your final mark. So you can have the 2 marks for 9, or it's a working out mark and then a second mark for the answer 9. Part B then, so it's our division rule, so we need to make sure that we are subtracting our powers. It's going to be 6 to the power of 10 take 2, giving us 6 to the power of 8 for 1 mark there. Part C then, a little bit more complicated on this one. So we want to rearrange it to make it as easy as possible. So we get our 5 times our 3, giving us 15. Our x cubed times our x to the power of 4. Remember, we're adding the powers there, so it's going to give us x to the power of 7. And our y squared times y cubed, again, add the powers, giving us y to the power of 5. So your final answer, okay, is 15x to the power of 7, y to the power of 5. If you've got that fully correct, then you get the 2 marks. If you've got 2 of the terms, i.e. it could be the 15 and the y to the power of 5, or the x to the power of 7 and the y to the power of 5, okay, correct, so you get 1 mark on that one. And then part D, again, we've got a little bit there with our negative index laws coming in. So your first thing you want to work out is this part here, so 2 to the power of 9, then raised to the power of 2. Remember, we're multiplying our power there, giving us 2 to the power of 18, so we get a mark for that one. Then it's a division question, so we're going to end up with 14 take away 18, giving us 2 to the power of minus 4, so a second mark at that point. And then if we remember, a negative power tells us to write a 1 on top, so we've got 1 over 2 to the power of 4. And then if we work out the 2 to the power of 4 part, we get 1 over 16 for your third mark. Again, 3 marks if it's fully correct. So rag yourself for question 1. Then question 2, we are looking at our fractional index law. So remember, the top number tells us the power and the bottom number tells us the root. We always want to deal with the root first. So we're going to end up with the square root of 25 to the power of 3. So 1 mark for interpreting it that way. Square root of 25 is 5. 5 cubed gives us 125 for our second mark there. Again, fully correct, 2 marks. Part B then, we've got the cube root, because it's on the denominator, of 64. Then square it. The cube root of 64 gives us 4. 4 squared gives us 16. So at that point, okay, 2 marks for the 16, or 1 mark for our working out bit at the start there. So again, rag yourself for question 2. Question 3 then, we've now got a negative fractional index law. So our negative tells us to put a 1 on top and make the power positive. So 9 to the power of a half on the bottom, a mark for working that out. Then remember the fact that you've got the square root of 9 to the power of 1. Square root of 9 gives us 3. 3 to the power of 1 gives us 3 on the bottom. So 1/3 for your final answer. Again, if it's fully correct, you can give yourself the 2 marks on that one. And then rag yourself question 3. Question 4 then is about converting numbers and ordering numbers in standard form. So if you've got the numbers in order correctly from smallest to largest, fully correct gives you 2 marks. However, if it is an error somewhere and you've correctly converted any one of them into ordinary numbers, then you get a mark for your correct conversion. And you can rag yourself for question 4. Question 5, slightly different. So on this one, you need to rag yourself for just A and B, and then part C separately. So on part A, the quick way is to recognise that we've got 7 zeros in front of the 7 there. Okay, so it's going to be 7 times 10 to the power of -7 for a mark. And then on part B, 10 to the power of 5 is 100,000. If we then multiply that by 3, we get 300,000 for a mark. So remember, you're ragging yourself for A and B together on this one. And then on part C, if we have a look at this, you've got to rewrite it. So you've got 4 times 8, okay, giving us 32. And then the 10 cubed times the 10 to the power of 5. Remember, we're adding the powers there to give us 10 to the power of 8. So if you've got 32 times 10 to the power of 8, you've got 1 mark. However, that's not in standard form, so you need to remember to convert it to a number between 1 and 10. So to do that, we're going to divide this side by 10, making it 3.2. To balance that, we need to make the other side 10 times bigger. And remember to add your powers, giving you 10 to the power of 9. So full marks if you've got 3.2 times 10 to the power of 9. and rag yourself for question 5C. Question 6 then, so there's quick ways of doing it. I've tried to write it out to help make it a little bit clearer. Remember, when you square a square root, it cancels each other out. It's the inverse operation. So actually, root 3 squared is just 3, and root 2 squared is just 2. So if you've identified that it's 3 and 2, you get a mark there, and then 3 times 2 gives you 6. So you can rag yourself for question 6. It's a little bit of a trick question on that one. Question 7 then, so it's our simplifying surds and being able to add them together. So if we start off with root 12, the biggest square number that is a factor of 12 is 4, so 4 times 3. Split it, so you've got root 4 times root 3. Square root of 4 gives us 2, so 2 root 3 is our solution on that part. Root 75 then, again, the highest factor of 75 that's a square number is 25, so 25 times 3, split it, and then square root the 25 to give us 5 root 3. So either of those two solutions at that point gives you your first working out mark, and then you need to add them together. So 2 root 3 added to 5 root 3 gives you 7 root 3. Again, 7 root 3 is your final answer, fully correct for 2 marks, and you can rag that one. Then question 8, we've got a simplifying question and then a rationalising the denominator. So for part A, we want to do root 2 times root 32, so put it all in one square root. 2 times 32 gives me root 64, so for a first mark, and the square root of 64 gives us 8 for the second mark on that one. And then on part B, so we've got a denominator of root 7, so remember to times both the numerator and the denominator by root 7 over root 7. That will give us 21 root 7, and root 7 times root 7 is root 49, which is just 7 on the bottom. So a first mark for that one. However, both 21 and 7 are divisible by 7. Okay, so that brings it down to 3 root 7, technically over 1, but you don't need the 1 for the second mark on that one. Okay, and then you can rag yourself question 8. And then our last question is question 9. So our starting point on this one, part A, is to simplify root 72. So again, the biggest square number that's a factor of 72 is 36. 36 times 2 on that one, split it up. So we've got root 36 times root 2, and root 36 gives us 6 root 2 for a mark there. That's going to be helpful in a minute. Right, hopefully you've recognised the fact that we've got root 6 plus root 12 in brackets squared, which means you need to write the bracket out twice, so no cutting corners and just trying to square this one and this one separately. Write it out twice and expand it properly. Again, you can use the grid method to do that. So you've got root 6 times root 6, root 36, or even better, just 6. Root 6 times root 12, that's going to give us root 72 from the 6 times 12. Then we've got root 12 times root 6, again giving us root 72, and root 12 times root 12, giving us root 144, which is just 12. So if you've written it out similarly to this one, you get your first mark. If you've then simplified it all, you've got your second one. And then what they've done is you've got root 72, which we had in part A, which is 6 root 2, so we know that. And we can then simplify it further. So our 6 plus our 12 gives us 18, and 6 root 2 plus 6 root 2 gives you then 12 root 2. Okay, so 18 plus 12 root 2 for your final mark on that one. Okay, so you can then rag yourself for question 9. I will link then your targets to the questions that you struggle with, so that will be in the next lesson. So as soon as I've got the feedback from you from the Google form that you need to fill in, I'm asking you on that one to detail whether you got red, amber, green on each of these sections, so you might want to have them in front of you to see. I'm then going to ask you to do your normal self-assessment part, so what did you think went well with this topic, what's even better if, or specifically if there's any particular topic areas you want to work on in your target lesson, and then just some general feedback for me on how do you think you're getting on at home at the moment. There's not many of you asking for help, and I'm literally sat here waiting for it, so please feel free to ask for help at any point. Okay, this is a really important unit, and as is the next one coming up as well, so the more you ask for help, the easier it will be for you. Okay, take care everyone, and let me know how you got on.